Last time we finished as far as Fine Without You. In this video we'll continue on with 4 more skins. It won't be the next 4 exactly in order though, because I'm remaking error code later on. With that out of the way, let's go to the editor. First up in this video we have the remake of the skin for Tokyo Machine Bubbles. Now Tokyo Machine is an artist I don't really care that much about. You might be able to tell that by the general lack of skins based on Tokyo Machine songs. You know, he's a really popular new Monster Cat artist, and by new I mean 2016 and beyond. But I don't really care about his stuff that much. I mean, he does have his moments, to be fair, like Bubbles itself is a very good song. I just love how playful the sound is during the drop. And then Fight, that has its moments. Rocket, that's a good one too. But overall I just find him a little, I don't know, repetitive, I guess, for lack of a better word. And to be fair, that's a little hypocritical because quite a few artists are like that. I mean, you know, you could definitely tell when a song is made by Stonebank, for example. Even though he has a few different styles and he's quite diverse, his styles are all very recognizable and they definitely repeat. You know, he has his melodic style in stuff like Healing Me, and then he has his more gritty hard dance style, and he also uses that style in his trap, and then he has that kind of more action based style for his electro house. So the skin I'm doing right now, overall it's simple enough, but there are 2 things in there that kind of get in the way. So the first one is to do with the hair, and then the second one is to do with the actual base itself. So on the t-shirt on this base, there are literally meant to be bubbles, but I didn't add those in until the end because they can be a little complicated. But the other thing that this skin actually held me back for a little bit on was the front hair, and as you can see there, I kind of go back and forth on a few different designs before figuring things out, and I decide to leave it a while trying to come up with a design that looks good while I do the rest of the shading, because shading the rest of the skin is basically the same deal each time. The hair on the back is a little shorter than usual though, so I slightly edged up my brightest highlight. But then stuff like the shorts and the shoes and the legs, those are basically the same deal every single time. Though I will mention, while I shade these shorts, on the neck skin, I did something slightly wrong with the pants, so I had to go back and basically fix that, so that was kind of annoying. So to say that pants or shorts never get in the way of things would be a lie, but overall they're easy enough to deal with. This front hair, on the other hand, was really annoying to figure out because I went through about 5 different variations before eventually just ending up on the style that was closest to what I had in the previous version. So that was a little dissatisfying, but ultimately what's important is that it looks good. So whether that means you stick closer to the original or you change things up a bit, it's kind of dependent on, you know, what looks good. And then doing these bubbles, I mean, it wasn't that difficult trying to figure out the colors, but I wanted to make sure that they were light enough while also not blending in with the shorts, which isn't the easiest when the shorts are that super light green color. But in the end, I think I did very well with this. Next up, we have the remake of the skin for Stephen Walking One Man Moon Band. Now, Stephen Walking is different to Tokyo Machine because he's been around since very, very early on. But I kind of have the same views of him as I do with Tokyo Machine in that it's not that I don't like his music, but you know, I'm not really that interested in it. Although he definitely has some good stuff out there. I really like Matches and Problems. both of which are tropical house songs and are a little different to his usual style, which is more of a like kind of playful electro house or complextro. Stephen Hawking, his whole aesthetic is just about kind of being playful and spacey. But not in like a neon kind of way for the spacey. I mean, just like rockets and stuff. One Man Moon Band has a very bright cover art, so naturally that leads to a very bright skin. I mean like the entire skin now, not just the literal skin part of the skin, in case that needs any clarification. But like this does have a few things that are a little unusual, because the outfit uses very bright colors by my present standards, I guess. And also has dyed hair, which is something that plenty of skinners do often, but I don't really do that much. But in this case, I did it. I mean, okay, that was a year ago, but I'd still do something like that now with this skin. Doing most of it is fine, although you will notice, well, you won't really notice because it's not that important of a detail, but I end up doing the waist slightly too high on this skin. Now, there's nothing wrong with male skins that have a 3, 4, even 5 pixel high waist. You could probably even go higher than that and still look fine. It's, well, maybe not 6. Yeah, but you could still go like to a higher waist than what I do even here and it'd look fine. It's just I like to be consistent, so I go back to that and lower the waist by 1 pixel. It really isn't that important though. And then, shading the rest of it, that's fine really. So shading the shoes is fine, shading the shirt is fine, even shading that blaster on the front. I guess that's what you could call it. I don't know if blaster is trademarked by Star Wars or what, but that's kind of what it looks like. So I do that, and that's fine too. But then I have to go back and lower the waist by 1 pixel. Not because it looks bad at its current height. Again, it's just because I like to be consistent. It's really not that important. In the end though, what is important is that you get a skin that looks good, and I think I was successful in that here. So now the third skin is quite different to the previous two, because it's based on quite a different song to the previous two. The last two skins both used a song that I guess I best describe as like very playful, but also somewhat intense electro house. But then this song is based on a very nostalgic and moderate intensity synth pop. And that song is Edge of the World by Desert Star. When I made this skin, similar to the skin that I made for Protostar Without You, I had to give it quite a long title because there are quite a few songs out there called Edge of the World, and one of them, the Karma Fields Edge of the World, doesn't even have lyrics. So, I didn't want to use Edge of the World for this skin and then have nothing to title the skin if I decide to make like the entire New Age Dark Age LP by Karma Fields. So this skin, it took quite a long time. It took me just 40 minutes alone to record, but like it's actually even worse than that, because not only did I have the amount of time recording, but I had to keep pausing the thing because I was cross-referencing all sorts of different details with this skin, like what shade of reddish orange to use for the hair and the shorts, and how exactly to go about the backpack, and how also to do the hairstyle. Quite a few different details here. Had a lot of cross-referencing. Another one would be the color of the shirt, and you look at that now and you see it's white and you're like, wait, but surely that's easy. Except the shirt actually isn't white. It's gonna be a color gradient that kind of varies between a sort of indigo color and like a very faded sky pink, I guess is the best way I could describe it. Shading a lot of parts of the skin though is just the same kind of deal as usual. So shading the legs is fine, the shorts is fine, the shoes are fine, socks is fine. A lot of details are actually fine really. I will say I actually had the backpack planned out in advance. So I had an idea of how I'd shade that, even though I did decide to extend it vertically later on because I decided it looked a little better that way. It's actually a roll top design, which is pretty rare to see on a Minecraft skin. So I think I deserve a bit of, I don't know, recognition for that. Yeah, I guess that's the word I'd use. Again though, that part of the skin is really not that bad to shade because, you know, it's all solid colors. That's the thing about most of this, is it's solid colors, so shading is not too bad. But things will change towards the end. You see me there now adding in the color that I'll actually use for the t-shirt. And first of all, I have to actually figure out what the base colors will be, which takes me long enough in of itself. Like, I'm trying to decide between like what exact range from indigo / blue to a sort of pinkish color I want. And I end up basically changing my mind several times and going back to where I started a couple of times, but eventually I kind of get settled in. So I go over most of the base, and then it's time to shade the shirt. And this is where the Planet Minecraft editor, PMC Skin 3D, really comes in clutch. Skindex editor is quite popular and it does a lot of great things, but one thing it can't do is the HSL shift mode. And as you'll see here, it saved my life. I mean, basically what I had to do is I had to change the lightness, or actually the value, by the amount that I usually change it, but then I'd have to figure out what percentages that would change the saturation and the lightness. And doing that, it wasn't the worst, but it wasn't very fun either. You'll see I gave up quite a few times and had to like restart, but eventually I kind of got things figured out. So then I shaded in the highlights, and then instead of reversing the pattern for the dark parts, I actually had to refigure that again because HSV does not correlate exactly to HSL when you invert it. But after all that's done, I think I ended up with quite a nice skin. So now the fourth and final skin in this video is once again a little different to the previous three, and that's because the song itself is also a little different to the previous three. And that song is Universe by Anevo and Laura Brehm. I have no idea if I'm pronouncing that correctly. It could be Anevo or Anevo. I really don't know. What I do know is that song was not the most well liked when it came out in like late 2018-ish. It was like September 2018, yeah. It wasn't really that well liked. I guess that was just because like fans had high expectations of that artist because of songs like Electric Heart and Don't Shoot Me Down, which were fan favorites when they released in 2016. But then Universe is a little different to those two, and I personally don't mind it. I think it's decent enough, but a lot of people really don't like it for some reason. I don't know, a lot of people say it's like low quality or something, which I don't really understand, but hey, everyone's entitled to their opinion. This skin did not take me anywhere near as long as the previous, but it did still have a few kind of tricks up its sleeve, whether that sleeve is on the shoulder or off the shoulder. For me, that would cause the skin to take me a little longer than usual. Before I mention what that was, I'll just note that when I made the skin originally, it said quite a few firsts. So this was the first skin to have a skirt, and it was also the first skin to have an off-shoulder top. But the thing about this skin is, you notice the skirt color right now is like a sort of darkish purple, but I ended up like cycling through what color I wanted that thing to be several times before I actually came to conclusion. So that added on quite a bit of time, but once I had the color chosen, shading that was pretty simple. And then of course shading the shoes is the same kind of deal as always, so that goes by very quickly. And then the top is already shaded, that's pretty fine as well. I tried to do a little bit of an effect though at the bit that actually drops over the shoulder, as you see on the right there. And then shading the hair is also pretty simple. I think in this one I didn't even have to do any kind of unusual front hair, so that definitely saved time as well. At the end, you notice the eyebrows there, they're a little bit of an eyesore, so I end up going back and just changing those to black, and they end up looking a lot better. And wow, those two words rhymed. But once that's done, the skin comes together, and apart from it looking like 2020 era sapnap to a very slight extent, I think in general this skin turned out very well. So yeah, that's the remake of Universe, which had a really long title because there are a few songs called Universe. Alright, the skins are done. You know what that means. Let's look at the old and new versions side by side. In the next video, I'll continue on with the next 4 skins, which are all not too crazy, but still diverse. If that's something you're interested in, subscribe to the channel by clicking the button on your left, and turn on notifications by clicking the bell. Also, if you enjoy the video, then do hit the like button down below. Thanks for watching, and have a good night, or day.